напомню, что последним значительным политико-дипломатическим достижением в сфере стратегической стабильности стало заключение в 2010 году российско-американского договора о стратегических наступательных вооружениях. Однако в дальнейшем из-за крайне враждебной политики администрации Байдена, нарушившей базовые установки, на которых был основан данный договор, его полноформатное осуществление было в 2023 году приостановлено.
Russian President Vladimir Putin on Monday offered US President Donald Trump a temporary extension of the last major arms control treaty between Washington and Moscow, known as the New Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty, or New START. Putin says he is ready to extend the treaty by 1 year after its expiration in February 2026, but only if Trump agrees to maintain the same limits on US nuclear weapons. The Russian president also sharply criticized former US President Joe Biden, accusing his administration of pursuing an extremely hostile policy that violated the core provisions of New START, undermining trust and strategic stability between the two nations. New START is the latest in a series of arms control agreements stretching back more than half a century. It was signed in 2010 by then US President Barack Obama and then Russian President Dmitry Medvedev, and came into force in February 2011. The treaty was designed to limit strategic nuclear arsenals and ensure predictable, verifiable control over the world's two largest nuclear stockpiles.
Finally, this day demonstrates the determination of the United States and Russia, the two nations that hold over 90% of the world's nuclear weapons, to pursue responsible global leadership. Together, we are keeping our commitments under the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, which must be the foundation for global non-proliferation. While the New START Treaty is an important first step forward, it is just one step on a longer journey.
We obtained a document that in full measure maintains the balance of interests of Russia and the United States of America. What matters most is that this is a win-win situation. No one stands to lose from this agreement. I believe that this is a typical feature of our cooperation. Both parties have won, and taking into account this victory of ours, the entire world community has won.
In 2018, Presidents Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump met in Helsinki, Finland, after which Trump voiced his intention to negotiate further nuclear arms agreements, even including China in future discussions. During a joint press conference, Trump said,
"People came to me, Dan Coates came to me and some others, they said they think it's Russia. I have President Putin, he just said it's not Russia. I will say this, I don't see any reason why it would be, but I really do want to see the server, but I have confidence in both parties."
Though controversial at the time, the Helsinki meeting marked a period when both leaders expressed interest in continued nuclear dialogue. What is New START? The New Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty is a bilateral arms control agreement between the United States and Russia. It caps the number of strategic nuclear warheads and delivery systems, including intercontinental ballistic missiles, ICBMs, submarine-launched ballistic missiles, SLBMs, heavy bombers capable of carrying nuclear weapons. Specifically, it limits 150 deployed nuclear warheads per side, 700 deployed delivery vehicles, 800 total deployed and non-deployed launchers. The treaty also includes a verification mechanism, which features on-site inspections, regular data exchanges, and notifications of missile tests or movements. This framework ensures that both sides adhere to the treaty, maintaining strategic stability and reducing the risk of miscalculation or escalation. In 2021, the White House confirmed a plan to seek a 5-year extension of New START. Then, Press Secretary Jen Psaki said,
The President has long been clear that the New START treaty is in the national security interests of the United States. New START is the only remaining treaty constraining Russian nuclear forces and is an anchor of strategic stability.
Despite this, geopolitical tensions and disagreements over Ukraine have prevented talks on renewing or replacing the treaty in recent years. On Monday, Putin addressed the Russian Security Council, offering a one-year extension of New START if US President Trump agrees.
To avoid provoking a further strategic arms race and to ensure an acceptable level of predictability and restraint, we consider it justified to attempt to preserve the status quo established by the New START treaty during this rather turbulent period.
The treaty is set to expire on February 5, 2026, giving both sides just over 4 months to act. The temporary extension proposed by Putin is seen as a way to maintain the status quo, avoid a new nuclear arms race, and provide a window for negotiating a successor treaty that could potentially involve other nuclear powers such as China.
Therefore, after February 5, 2026, Russia is prepared to continue adhering to the central quantitative limits of the Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty for 1 year. Going forward, based on an analysis of the situation, we will make a decision if we continue adhering to these voluntary self-limitations. We believe this measure will only be viable if the United States acts in a similar manner.
New START is not just a US-Russia issue. It is a cornerstone of global non-proliferation, ensuring that the world's 2 largest nuclear arsenals remain under control. Without it, analysts warn there could be increased risk of nuclear escalation, unchecked arms race in Europe and Asia-Pacific, greater instability in the context of conflicts like Ukraine. Putin's proposal emphasizes that while Russia is committed to stability, it will respond to any violations by the United States, including expanding or modernizing its nuclear capabilities if necessary. Both countries continue to test and modernize their strategic arsenals. Russia regularly launches Caliber missiles from surface ships and submarines. The US conducts tests of Minuteman III ICBMs and other long-range delivery systems. These tests demonstrate ongoing readiness and the importance of arms control agreements to prevent an unchecked escalation. A one-year extension would preserve the current limits on deployed nuclear warheads, launches, give negotiators time to draft a successor treaty, signal to the international community that nuclear non-proliferation remains a priority. Putin has made it clear that Russia will act responsibly, but only if the US reciprocates, highlighting the delicate balance in strategic arms control.